Hey, this is Carlos Fraser from Tactical Tips, and today we're going to be talking about the news, or not even news because it happened already. The IRS has issued over 5 million to 8 million notices. These notices are called CP-14s, Balance Due Notices. In this video, I want to go over what this all means to you, what you should look out for, and what are the steps you need to do if you get this notices. This is Tactical Tips, and let's jump into it.
Strong.
All right, so you may see this notice come to you. About 5 million taxpayers around June 5th, which is today, are going to be receiving this CP-14 notice. And this notice is a balance due notice. The IRS is going back all the way into 2020. Yes, 2020. And the reason that they're doing this is because of Darren. Now, it's not Darren's fault. The reason I'm saying this is he gave a speech in Washington, D.C. in May, and basically he indicated that the IRS operations are going to do this. And this guy is an important guy because Darren takes care of all the operation, all the collection notices, even enforcement action. So when Darren talks, people listen. But we have to go back. Yes, COVID, you see it right there. The reason COVID plays a part in why all these notices are coming out is because when COVID happened, a lot of things stopped. We started seeing deaths. It was horrible. We want to put it out of our mind. I don't want to think about it. I have PSD when I talk about COVID. But the IRS had to stop a lot of their operations because of people could not work inside the office. Congress came together and voted on a bill, and that bill passed a lot of COVID relief information and COVID relief checks. And the IRS is backlogged. I'm talking thousands and millions of notices and papers are sitting there, but the IRS had to make a decision. Are they going to go and collect on people, or are they going to help with the COVID relief and send out checks, be on the front line? And they basically sent out checks. So the IRS, yes, Darren, you see him there. Darren basically indicated they are going to stop all IRS collections on certain individuals, and they're going to stop and cancel notices. One of those biggest notices are the CP-14 notice. So it was canceled and stopped since 2020. Now, the IRS agents weren't doing that anymore, and they were basically helping out with COVID relief action and sending out stimulus checks, the child tax credits, and all that other stuff. Now, you've got your stimulus money, everybody's happy, things are looking good, and the IRS kept continuing to pause it. They made basically an extension in 2022 that made it keep on going. But guess what? Things don't last forever, and people are receiving these notices right now. What I want to tell you is do not freak out. This notice is your notice of your rights. These are the things the IRS has to tell you. So what I want you to do is look at that notice, and these are the things you want to look for. First, at the top right-hand side, make sure it says CP-14. If it says CP-501, CP-503, you really need to call someone because it's getting serious. CP-14 is the first notice. It may say today's date, and you may say, wait, how can they get it on today's date and the notice date's today's date? What happens is the IRS machine basically are creating these notices 21 days in the past. So in May, they are getting these things ready to go out in early June, which we're getting right now. And that's very important because what you want to do next is you want to look at the amount due. The IRS in that notice tells you if you have paid them in the last 21 days, it may not show here because remember, they're processing those notices in May. So you made a payment in May. You're like, whoa, I paid this already. I shouldn't be doing it. Even though this letter says, hey, if you made a payment 21 days before, disregard, I still would say just contact the IRS, just let them know you made a payment. And that goes into the next thing. If you have any issues with your notice, call the IRS. I'm not saying you're going to get onto them right away. I'm not saying that someone's going to pick up right away, but what I'm saying is call and have all your ducks in a row. You want to get it documented because each person has a social security number and an IRS master file. And in your master file, they leave notes and other information. You want to have it there. So if this thing gets elevated to tax court, we can look at your transcripts and say, hey, listen, this person contacted the IRS on this date and talked about this with this IRS agent. Now, back to the notices. If you cannot pay, or let's talk about if you can pay. If you can pay in full, the IRS projects out what you owe 21 days into the future. So if you got your notice on June 5th, 2023, you would see that the balance due is on June 26th, 2023. So whatever is on that notice as the amount due is already calculated the interest and the penalties to that due date. Now, what I would say is go to irs.gov. When you go to irs.gov, click make a payment. The IRS gives you two options. They either give you an option to pay with a debit card or PayPal or a credit card. The IRS takes what you can give them. The only thing they don't take is hugs and kisses. So if you can pay them, I would say pay them. The reason I say that right now, the IRS interest rate is 7%. Their penalty rate is 5%. You're not getting that in your bank account. So if you owe them $1,000, you have $1,000 that you can let go in your bank account. Pay them because the interest and penalty accrue every single day. They're the mafia. You're gonna pay a VIG. Do not get with this mafia. They'll break your fingers, okay? So next thing, let's say I can't pay in full. I don't want them to break my fingers. I like all my fingers. Then, hey, they have an option. The IRS will allow you to go into a payment plan. If your balance is not over a certain amount, usually $25,000, they'll automatically give you a payment. There's different ones, but the one that you'll see on the website, they'll take your amount due and spread it over 70 months, and then you can pay it over. And the good thing is if you go and do it online, the user fee is much lower, around $43, whereas if you call in the IRS and try to do a payment plan, the user fee is $225. If you mail it in, I think it's almost another like a $202. So doing it online saves you money in the setup fee because your first payment usually goes to your setup fee. Now, what if you cannot make any payments? You're like, listen, I can't pay in full. I don't want you to break my fingers. I can't go on a payment plan. I'm living off of unemployment. I'm living off of Social Security. What happened in 2020 was money, but I don't got that money no more. What the IRS will allow you to do is do a financials. Those financials will allow them to see what your income is and what your expenses are and see what your disposable income, and you can either get a payment plan based on your disposable income, or if they see that you're not making any money, you are flat broke, then they would say, hey, listen, we're not going to collect on you. Interest and penalties will still accrue, but we'll take your debt and we'll just put it on the shelf and we'll revisit it in about 2 years. Frequently asked questions. Frequently asked questions. So one of the frequently asked questions I usually get is, what happens if I can't pay the full amount now? The answer is they'll kill you. I'm playing you. They'll get you. The answer is you can apply for a payment plan. Like I said before, you can go on to irs.gov and apply for that payment plan. Am I charged interest on the money I owe? Of course. I told you, they are the mafia. They're coming in windbreakers and ballies, and they're going to break your fingers. But let's get away from that. So now the notice that you get, you're not going to pay any additional interest, like I said before, penalties, but after that, 7% and 5% VIG. So, that's not cool. Will I receive a penalty if I can't pay the amount in full? Of course. Is a horse a horse? Yes, you will receive a late payment penalty, which is 5% every month until it reaches up to 25%. So as you can see, this is getting real. And the reason I'm saying this, look at what's going on with me. These are the notices that I've gotten today. Look, damn, should have hit myself. These things are heavy and they're coming in a full thing. Our motto is life is short, pay less taxes. I want you to do that. It's Carlos Fraser from Tax Code Tips. Have a good day. Look at these notices. It's nice. It's Monday. Why am I
Be strong. Be strong.